Steelrising delays its launch, but makes up for it with its revolutionary Paris' gameplay with robots. The role-playing and action video game from the creators of Greedfall was due to arrive in early summer. During Naken Connect presentation, developer Spiders premiered an early gameplay trailer for its upcoming action RPG Steelrising. The French developer also revealed a release window of June 2022 on PC and next-gen consoles. Steelrising, an RPG adventure set in an alternate Paris of the French Revolution. The video game is still scheduled for this 2022, but has suffered a delay in its release date that will prevent it from coming in June, as announced a few months ago. Of course, you won't have to wait long to enjoy it. In this sense, Spiders, also known as the creators of Greedfall, announced that Steelrising will be available for sale today. September 8 on PC via Steam, PS5 and Xbox Series X/S. To make up for this 3-month delay, the team saw fit to share a comprehensive gameplay video of the adventure exclusively with Game Informer, leaving us with battle, exploration, and inventory sequences. Set against the backdrop of an alternate French Revolution, Steelrising sees Aegis, one of the few hopes for the citizens of Paris, engage in heavy metal warfare with the automated armies of King Louis XVI. This first gameplay trailer sees Aegis in battle with several different opponents, with a deliberately paced combat style slightly reminiscent of a Souls title, complete with a variety of weapons, long wind-up animations, and both ranged and up-close and personal combat styles. As can be seen, Steelrising is betting as part of its success by offering a fictional Paris in 1789, far from the historic French city we can see in Assassin's Creed Unity, for example. Terror reigns in this city, as expected, but it also offers an alternate story filled with fears. Robots, who will he face? One of its creators, Greedfall, remembered while writing Dragon Age Origins Solid BioWare, while Paris was burning and bleeding as a backdrop in the midst of the revolution, you Aegis, a true masterpiece automaton created by Vakanson, an engineer in the service of the Clockwork King. Make the most of your mechanical prowess to adapt the Aegis to your playstyle and transform it into a fearsome warrior, a deadly dancer, or a virtuoso of the basic arts. The studio's previous project, Greedfall, left some good editorial pleasure, among other reasons, for being a classic role-playing exercise. To Dragon Age Origins' robust BioWare, you can review Alejandro Pascual's view by reading his analysis of Greedfall. Steelrising was released yesterday by Naken Games, presenting a promising action-adventure video game. At Steel Height, players control a robot named Aegis with guns to defeat King Louis XVI, who has begun terrorizing the citizens of Paris with an army of clock machines. Steel Height, it looks somewhat familiar in terms of action RPGs, especially compared to Souls-like games, but Steel Height, it's still very distinct from the competition, thanks in large part to its unique traditions and looks. Steelrising, the sci-fi novel of the French Revolution, will go a long way in raising the bar in the game's combat and other gameplay components. Aesthetic and setting in Steelrising, they seem to be major strengths long before the game's release. Aegis and Steel Height, all of the company's other robotic machines, have highly detailed designs, inspired by art and fashion from late 18th century France. Thanks to that, it's hard to compare Steelrising appears in any other game. The French Revolution is a moment in history that few other games have explored. Paris in 1789 will serve as an excellent setting for the game's levels. Players will get the chance to visit famous historical sites such as Notre Dame Cathedral, and will likely explore the hardships of French life that led to the revolution as well. These elements can add to a rich, layered piece of historical fiction. Steelrising is interesting. Context is important because it can make the core gameplay elements more interesting. For example, Steelrising, the fight hasn't distinguished itself significantly from the competition so far. His focus on spending stamina wisely and studying bosses actively makes him very similar to Elden Ring and other Souls-like games. However, although the mechanics of enemy combat may be familiar, the designs and battlefields that players encounter will be very different from most other RPGs. The combination of highly detailed robotic machines and the streets of the Revolution era of Paris add to a host of attractive visual elements that can make combat a real pleasure to look at. The game's rather unique setting and style is still evident here, as the footage walks us through various locations. It's obviously a very combat-focused experience, but while the action does look a bit janky at points, there are definitely some cool ideas at play. The fact that many of your weapons are an extension of your character's mechanical body is especially slick. Steelrising has been drawing the eyes of action RPG fans for roughly 2 years now, and with the PlayStation 5 title due out this summer, it's about time that we saw some raw gameplay footage. What do you make of Steelrising? Accept the mechanical revolution in the comments section below. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more contents updates.